Note, if you haven't watched the introduction, the amazing story of Mr. Average Surfer, I recommend that you do so first, as it gives you kind of little insight in what I'm trying to do with this video. Okay, cheers, Mike. Hi Mike. Chapter 1 is just a basic background to my childhood days, if you like. Some of the experiences that I had, some of the people that I met that really set me up for a great travelling future. So just enjoy. So here's New Zealand, just situated across what we call the ditch from Australia. Top of the North Island is pretty well on a parallel with Sydney, as you can see there. So it does have that little hint of subtropical about it, particularly in the top of the North Island. As we can see here, beautiful summer conditions, clean offshore winds, great conditions in the summer, warm water. Here's a photo of my brother standing with a surfboard a few years back, but you can see the hint of subtropical about the top of the North Island. West Coast tends to be onshore, big onshore, quite scary sometimes, but it does get clean, bragging in places like that, beautiful conditions sometimes. But the East Coast in the summertime is just primo. It's beautiful. Offshore winds, clean conditions. As you can see here on the Great Barrier, a place called Awana Beach, fantastic surf. Well, in 1947, Mike was born. Born in the city of Auckland in the Northland New Zealand. And at the tender age of 5 years old, went to a school called St Mary's School in Ellerslie. A couple of good friends of Mike's at that school. One was Johnny O'Day, and Mike used to like to stay at Johnny O'Day's place, and the reason he used to like to stay there was because he lived next door to Robin Johnson. Another good friend of mine was Miles Cassidy. The reason I used to like to stay at Miles Cassidy's place was because his dad had a train like this in the backyard, and we used to go up there and sit on the back of the train, and he'd go all around the back of his property, and oh man, it was such fun. Used to love it. But you know, at the age of 7, something amazing happened to us. We moved from Auckland to an amazing place. So in 1954, Dad decided, why don't we just take a little trip up to a place called Whangarei, 2 hours north of Auckland. So we jumped in a sturdy old car. Here's a photo of my dad and my brother. Jumped in the old car and headed up to a place called Whangarei, 2 hours north of Auckland, over the Brenduin Ranges and down into a place called Waipu. True, it's called Waipu. There it is. A little bit further on, a place called Urititi Beach. Of course, Urititi Beach would be a nudist beach, wouldn't it? Head on to a place called Whangarei, where we spent an awesome weekend. What a weekend it was. Well, on the Sunday evening, Dad decided, okay, well, it's time to head back to Auckland. So we took off Whangarei in the afternoon and did a casual drive down past Waipu and headed toward the Brenduins. Halfway up the Brenduins, my dad made a comment. He said, wow, this is a pretty good view up here, isn't it? We all started thinking at that point, and eventually when we got to the top, my dad stopped the car and he said, I think I need to have a look at this view. So we all hopped out, and man, we were stunned by the view at the top of the Brindewins. My dad hopped out, walked across the road, up onto this high hill, and said, wow, this is exceptional. So 1 year later, Dad packs up the family. Dad's seen here at Ocean Beach and Whangarei Heads. Off we went, jumped in the car, on our way north, heading towards our destination, the top of the Brindewins, and leaving Auckland for the last time. Woohoo! Well, 2 hours later we arrive at this amazing place on the top of the Brindewins, Brindewin Ranges, a place that my dad had built and my granddad. Took them 1 year. Pacific View Tea Rooms, he called it. This was to be our new home. Here's my dog Ginger standing out in front. Hi Ginger. Sit boy. Hey, punk. Here's a photo of me when I'm 15. Look at the view behind us. I mean, I used to wake up to that view every day. We could see right across to the west coast, probably 20-30 miles south, across to Whangarei Heads, and all the islands, right out to the islands, and of course Langs, Waipuko, Ruakaka, and the power station beaches. I could check the surf anytime I wanted to. Well, we took a trip back there 40 years later, now called Skyliner Tea Rooms. Here's my daughter having a look at the view, seeing how amazing the view was. Although it's quite different today. It was all native bush, beautiful grasslands, beautiful farmland. But now it's more overgrown by pine trees. It's the new millennium, so everything's quite different. The view's still there, but it is certainly obscured. Nothing like it was in terms of natural bush, but beautiful view, still the same. Well, living on the Brindewins was a pretty amazing experience, mainly because, well, one of the reasons was because the local farmer who had 3,000 acres said, yeah, sure, you can use my farm anytime you like. So my dad bought me a horse, and here's my mum. You can see the farmland in the background. Actually, my mum was a pretty trendy lady, as you can see on the left here. But that natural farmland was such a buzz. You know, I'd ride over the grasslands and down through the bush, native bush. I'd go miles way over the back of the property. I'd spend 6 or 8 hours on a weekend. I'd just ride over there by myself. My mum didn't even know where I was. I'd find waterfalls like this, and sit there and get mesmerised and think, wow, the beauty of all this place. And I'd look at the view as well, and it was just astounding. I was amazed. Well, of course, when I had my horse, I was only like 10, 11, 12 years old, so I did whatever a 10, 11, 12-year-old kid does, and that's pretend they're a knight in armour, knight in shining armour. So I had my lance on my horse, and I go flying along, and I think the idea is to knock the baked bean can off the bank. And so I go flying along there thinking, oh man, this is awesome. Trouble is, my lance hit the end of the bank, dug into the bank, and I went flying about 20 feet in the air. Just about broke every bone in my body.